Well, hello, welcome again to a reading through of Sophocles' play, the Philoctetes. And I got up to, I think, line 319. So Neoptolemos has met up with Philoctetes. Neoptolemos has to make up stories and tell him lies. Philoctetes has related his own misery, and then Neoptolemos now makes up his own story to try and win Philoctetes over. So it's ego de kautos tois dimatus en logois. But I myself am a witness in such, or in this story. In other words, it's a witness. I can corroborate what you've been saying about how terrible Odysseus and the sons of Atreus are. Since now the word order's difficult. The word order's rather odd here. So it's oida. I know that they are true. That is, the words that you've said, understood, are true. So we could say, I know that the words you said are true, and I myself am a witness to such accounts. Sun tukon, probably, so meeting with the evils of these men, those of the sons of Atreus, and literally the strength of Odysseus. So it's another throwback to Homer here, another epicism. So since I have had dealings with these dreadful men, the sons of Atreus, and literally the strength of Odysseus, ega to kai su tois pan elthrois ekes, enclema Atreides, hostithumus thy pathon. And so Philoctetes says, for indeed, and it's a question here, so it's what the tit goes with the enclema, which is a complaint or an accusation. So what complaint, for indeed, what complaint do you have against these all-destructive sons of Atreus, so that, having suffered, you are so angry, so as to be angry, having suffered, literally. Thumon genoito kairi plerosai pote. So we get an optative of wish here. So may it happen, pote, one day, for to fill up my anger, kairi, with my hand. That is, perhaps by violence, by wrath, or action. So something like, may it happen that one day I can sate my wrath, my anger, with action. In other words, turn my anger into deeds. In order that Mycenae and Sparta, of course this is where sons of Atreus come from, and Menelaus, comes from that Mycenae and Sparta might know, optative of wish here from Gignosco, might know that Skyros, this is where he comes from, of course, Skyros was, it's just Ephu, perhaps was by nature, we'd say is by nature, a mother of valiant men, of brave men, from Alkimos. Euge, O Technon, well, it's almost like well said, my boy. Tinos hodi ton megan kolon kat auton en kalon eleluthas. Now it's a question. Now there's a bit of a problem here with ek kalon. The editor, as he says down below in the Apparatus Criticus, he says, I have written ek kalon. The manuscript reading is en kalon with a gamma here. Shine, in his more recent edition of this, goes back to the manuscript reading of en kalon. That would mean making accusations. So the tinos is something like, for what reason have you come here making accusations in respect of the great anger against them? The editor on this text we have here, reading ek kalon, that would mean something like calling out, or perhaps summoning up. That would then mean, for what reason have you come here, summoning up or calling out this great anger against them? So I'll leave it to you to consult the commentaries and see which reading you prefer here. O pai poiantas, O son of Poias, exero, I will tell you, but I will tell you molis with difficulty. In other words, almost reluctantly, because he claims to be so angry about it, I think. Ha go ge is crasus here for three things. It's ha plus ego plus ge. And it's really an internal accusative after the ex ero. So I will tell you, but I will tell you reluctantly or with difficulty. In respect then of what things, so in regard to what things, having come, this is that molone from Blosko again, aorist emelon, on my arrival at Troy, we have to understand at Troy here, so in respect of what things, when I arrived at Troy, so we might say in what way, in fact, when I arrived at Troy, ex elobathane, I was outraged at their hands. It's literally, I was badly treated, so I was utterly, and the ex makes it very strong, so I was utterly ridiculed at their hands. Now he gets interrupted at the end of this line, so he says, for fate esque, it's literally held, but we might say took hold, or fate decided almost, for Achilles to die. So it was, you could take this simply as develop, like the verb to be here. So fate held Achilles so as to die. So it's when fate had constrained Achilles to die, literally. And he gets interrupted. The editor's put a comma here to show that he's being interrupted. So oimoi, alas, because of course Philoctetes doesn't know that Achilles is dead, and so he's finding this out for the first time. So he says, alas, speak to me, this is subjunctive from Phrasto, speak to me no further, prinan, until I might learn, proton, firstly, tode, I might learn this firstly, if the offspring of Peleus, Tethneka, this is a Tethneka, the kappa aspirates before the hot, this is the perfect from the nasco. The nasco in the perfect does occur in prose. Normally in prose the nasco is used in a compound, but in the perfect you do get this form. It's fairly common in poetry just to get the nasco. So if the offspring of Peleus has died, and Neoptolemos says Tethneken, he has died. And toxutos, I should say, means struck by an arrow. So shot by an arrow of no man, but by a god, so they say, tamed by Phoebus. Now, of course, as you know, he was in fact killed by Paris. It was Paris that killed Achilles, but of course the arrow was guided by Phoebus Apollo. Al eugenes men hoc thanon teko thanon. Well, noble was on the one hand the one having killed, that is Phoebus, and also the one having died. So, well, the commentators say here that Apollo was only noble in the sense that he was descended from Zeus. It's an interesting thing to say here. And then he says, amekano, this is a contract verb. So I am in doubt really whether, O child. So we get poteron and a. So I'm in a state of confusion or doubt. I don't know what to do, O child. Whether, so either that I might question Elenco about your misfortune, your suffering, or whether I might, this must be a subjunctive here, whether I might groan for, literally, so lament for Canon for that man, Canon for Ekanon for that man, that is Achilles. So just do that quickly there. So Philoctetes says, but noble was the one who killed and the one who died. I am in state of confusion, O boy, whether I might inquire about your suffering, or I might lament or groan for that man, that is Achilles. Oimoi men arcan soi gekai tasa otalas algemath. So on the one hand, we get a men here. I don't think we get a corresponding de. No. So I think that your sufferings, the ta goes with that, your sufferings understand to, well, no, to be sufficient, and this is ta sa. So there's an alpha elided here. This is the personal adjective. So your sufferings, oh you poor man, are indeed sufficient for you. Don't forget the little particles here. So I think, oh you poor man, that your own sufferings are indeed sufficient for you, so as not to, literally to groan over the sufferings of those who are near, of your neighbours. So as not to lament the sufferings of your neighbours, literally of those palas nearby. Orthos elexas, you've spoken rightly. Toi ga un toson phrason. Now this is toi and ga and un. It's quite a strong combination of particles here. It really means, well, therefore. So he said I was in a state of confusion. He says, now I've sorted it out. Therefore, speak of toson pragma. So speak to me again, or back again to me, of your affair. Hopos for host, how they insulted you, how they treated you so badly. Now we now get a long speech from Neoptolemos, which I'll start here. And he's making all this up, of course, in order to win him over. Aelthon mene poi kilos stolo meta. Notice the accent on meta, and I think it goes with me, with me. So, glorious Odysseus, again, this is very Homeric, and the Trophius of my father. So Trophius originally is a nurse connected with Trepho, taken here to mean something like the carer or the guardian. This, of course, refers to Phoenix. So Odysseus and the guardian of my father, they came after me with their ornamental nai ship. So it's decked out, that's the stolos, decked out with ornament. And it's referring to the ship. saying, and then Aite alethes ait araun matain. So whether true or something like rather in fact matain, false or in vain. So whether it was true or whether in fact it was false. So they were saying, and then we get the host saying that it would not be Themis. Themis, lawful, probably it's almost here the will of the god. So saying that it would not be God's will, since my father Katephtito had perished. This is a pluperfect from Katephtino. Since my father had perished, it would not be the will of the god for another other than me to take the citadel. This is of course Troy. Tauta o Xen, so O stranger. The Tauta is somewhat sort of generalised here. It's something like, so in respect of these things, we might say therefore in English. Thus, having related this, having spoken thus, epeskon, to restrain or detain. So they detained me not for a long time. They restrained me. Now, followed by may, it'll mean from. So they didn't restrain me from me to make a sea voyage quickly. So just to paraphrase that a little bit. So therefore, O strangers, thus having spoken in this way, they did not hold me back for a long time to keep me from making a sea voyage quickly. You'd normally get ume after a verb of hindering in the negative, but you can also just get may. It's almost so as not to not make a sea voyage quickly or something like that, but I think I just take it as after may after epeskon. So they did not restrain me from making a sea voyage quickly. Malis the men de to thanontes hemero, especially on the one hand, and I'm not sure we get a de with this one, so especially in fact by desire for the one who had died, so that I might see him, Athapton, before he was buried. So the burial apparently didn't happen till a number of days afterwards, after the death. So he's keen to get to see his father before they bury him. So Uga I domain, for I'd never laid eyes on him. This is interesting. There are two versions of the myth. The version here, following Homer, seems to be that Neoptolemos was born in Skyros and remained there, while Achilles went back to Phthia for 10 years before going to Troy, and hence Neoptolemos never saw him. The other version is that Achilles remained in Skyros and then went to Troy from there, in which case this would not be the case. So he's following the Homeric version here. Epeta mentoi ko logos kalos pros ein. Then, well, perhaps moreover, the men perhaps balances the mentoi here. It's not quite clear. So then, moreover, literally the fair account was present. It's slightly idiomatic here. So since then, this good story, this attractive story was present. I think Cheb says something, there was charm in their promise, which is paraphrasing it quite a bit. It's literally in addition, then their reasoning was attractive. That's one way of doing it there, literally, and just taking prosane like the verb to be, so it was present. And take logos as reason, and their kalos as attractive. So so literally, in addition, their reasoning was attractive, and then the a, that having that going, I would take, this is an optative, that if I went, I would take the citadel, this is ta epi, at Troy, so the citadel at Troy, epi Troia. And that's probably a good place to pause there in the long speech.